For the last few years, Volvo has been really quiet in the Philippine market, but this time they're going to be even quieter. This is the Volvo EX30, an EV. Hey everyone, Vince here from AutoIndustriya, and today we've got the new EX30 for you. Now in the Philippine market, Volvo, like I said, has been very quiet, and that's because they were undergoing a major transition from one distributor to another. This is a Volvo for the new generation. You can see it with the overall look of the vehicle or the overall profile. It's a B SUV, so it's going to be something great for personal use or for a young family, that kind of thing. They've also got the very sporty look here with these Thor's hammer inspired headlights, new Volvo logo there. Also with the wheels, they tend to kind of make it a bit more flat for aerodynamics and all that, but we're going to be using this more in the city, particularly here in the Philippines. Now, the blue does contrast well with the black roof, the black pillars and all that, and the black side mirrors with these really neat mirrors here. More on that when we start adjusting it. Grip type door handles. I mean, it opens nice and wide, which is always a good thing. And it may not have roof rails here, but there are threaded points here where I think you can clamp something on and then screw it on there, and then you'll have a roof rack there if that's really your kind of thing. And I imagine over in Sweden, they do a lot of that with the Volvo, all their Volvos actually. Anyways, let's check out the cargo space. Okay, so it's starting to rain, so let's go through this fast. The rear design, very striking. It has these lights up here. You follow one of these on the road, it's very striking. The way they do the tailgate there, very cool. Sorry, the lift gate. Now to open it, you press this, and then you can go on over to the other side. By the way, the charging port is over here, and it's type 2 with the DC fast charging over there. We'll show you the times right now because this one charges pretty fast, and I was charging the other day at one of the Ayala malls and actually worked out pretty good. Now, in terms of space, this is where it gets interesting because normally we would measure the space, but what we like is that all the measurements are already up here. Now, they're quoting that the maximum depth that you have is about 33 inches, and you measure it from down here because this tray drops down, but if you don't need it to be all the way down, you can put it up like that, and you have a nice load space over there. They're also saying around 28, was it 28? Yeah, and we verified that 28 inches over there. We'll have all the metric conversions for those of you who like the metric, which is perfectly fine. Under here, you also have the tire repair kit, but there's no spare tire in this one. You also get up here, like I mentioned, the measurements. You have the measurements here, and also they have a will it fit. Like if it has a stroller, a suitcase, a trolley, a scuba tank, a rucksack with a little collapsed tent, maybe a lampshade, and a golf set. The lampshade, interesting, IKEA. They are also Swedish. Anyways, let's check out what's inside because pretty interesting interior and not much when it comes to buttons. The first thing that really comes to mind when I sit inside the EX30 for the first time is where did all the buttons go? Because there's an absence of them all around. There's not a single button on the dashboard. I mean, I'm willing to bet there's no button of any kind. There's no glove compartment here. I mean, you do have the screen here, you do have the stalks here and all that, and the buttons on the wheel. But the dashboard is completely devoid of buttons. Same with the doors. There are no buttons here on the doors. There's no buttons for the power windows. Instead, you just get this, I think it's all recycled material here. Same with down there, the fabrics and all that. For such a small vehicle, it feels really spacious and very uncluttered. But don't get me wrong, this is a very loaded vehicle. We'll get to that in a bit. Now, in front of the driver, steering wheel, it's a bit squared off, meaning flat top and flat bottom. Feels very futuristic, I have to say. And you have the buttons on the left side. This is for the cruise control, or for the adaptive cruise control, the pilot. It can also kind of switch between the limiter function and the adaptive cruise control function. You adjust your speed there. The controls here, these are actually multifunction. We'll get to this in a bit. You have the light stalk here on the left, which is also the wiper stalk. So you spin this knob here to go through the wipers. There you go. And if you notice, there's no instrument cluster. There's no instrument cluster here. Instead, they adopted the Tesla style in having all the information displayed up there. So your transmission, your state of charge 60%, current range 245, the door ajar warning, which is on the front right, the state of the vehicle, and then when I'm driving, this actually switches to a radar kind of. It senses everything with the cameras, with the sensors there, the distance to the vehicles around you, current efficiency, and all that. And when you turn on the wipers, it comes on there. So there's no like indicator here. Even like when you have the signaling, it's here on this side, and then signal left is there, and then you hear the little tick tick, like I think it's a simulated relay of some kind. Now, if you notice, there's also no transmission control. Like here, no buttons here, no stock here or T-bar is right here. So normally you wear your, I think this would normally be the wiper, I think, or the in a regular car. I'm trying to remember which one is which, but it's almost counterintuitive because the way they have it shaped. I mean, Mercedes has done this before with the 7-matic something G-tronic, whatever that is. But with Mercedes, they changed the shape. Same with the way, let's say Hyundai did it with their version. It's like down here. But instead, what Volvo did is they shaped it exactly like the light stock here. And then, so it kind of feels a bit strange if you're jumping into it. Once you get used to it, it's okay. So to go into park is right there. If you pull it down, you go into drive, and the steering unlocks itself. And then if you push it up, you get the reverse function. And as you can see, the 360 camera just came on, and you have the guidelines over there. My phone is down there on a wireless charging pad, and the way they have it set up, it actually locks your phone in with these rubber, I guess, fingers. So once you put it there and then there, it's safe and secure over here, which is always a good thing. On the right side, there's another one of those slots, but it doesn't have the wireless charger built in. And speaking of charging, what you have is that below here, this actually has 50-50 split tray. There's a false kind of floor with a little slot in between, and you get 2 USB-C ports, and you can put your wallet there, your keys, and all that, which is kind of a nice touch. It's very clever. Same with the cup holders. Here, push that. What you get are 2 cup holders here with a cup holder bracket, I guess, with the rubber fingers to hold your drink in place. What I like though is that if you're not like drinking anything, you can just push it all the way back, and it becomes a nice storage bin over there. If you're just having one drink, you can put that over there, which is always a good thing. The key is actually right here. Now, if you notice, this key has no buttons at all. I mean, not that I can see. There's not a single button here to lock, unlock, which is something I really didn't like in this vehicle, but more on that towards the end. And also, the best part is there is actually a glove compartment here, and it's nice and hidden. And the way to access it is to go through, actually I was already there, is to go to this, to press the car icon there, and then press glove box there. And there you have my charging cable, the registration, and a curly tops. Barney, thank you. One thing Volvo did was try to economize the vehicle, and they did that by removing some things that aren't necessary. So, like I mentioned, the screen here no longer necessary. Also, they removed the wiring from the doors, or as much as they can, apart from the actual door handle and maybe some ambient lighting there. But what they also did, if you notice, there are no power window buttons over there. It's all like right here. This one I didn't actually notice, the lock unlock. So whenever I get into a car, the first thing I do before I even start anything, which by the way, this starts up when you walk up to it already, is I press the lock button there. It won't activate because the door is open, but still, nice touch over here. Now, onto this screen. This is where you control everything in the vehicle. So first things first, AC. You have the climate control system here. What's neat about this AC system are the vents, right? So if you notice, when you point a vent towards you, the louvers point towards you. In this one, it's reversed. When you toggle this towards in that direction, the vane inside points to the other direction. and it kind of bounces off this curve here to change the angle of the air. Now, what I don't like about it is that it's not very, how do I say, directional. You know, like I think the way we would describe it in the Philippines, particularly in our temperature, is medyo hilaw yung hangin. So it's not going to be as strong. It does get, you know, like kind of powerful there, but the angle just doesn't like seem to hit, like, let's say if you want it in your face for a few minutes to cool you down, doesn't really do that. So that's something I really kind of don't like about it. But I guess for Sweden or other countries, it's perfectly fine. It has Apple CarPlay, which is a good thing, but it does not have Android Auto. But how do I have Google Maps? And given that a lot of you guys know that I use an Android phone, it has Google services. So instead of connecting via a USB cable or wirelessly to kind of mirror my phone, what this has is it has it all native into the system. You just download the apps that you need, and you, like, for example, I put in my Google account into this, and then I can have Maps. I can have Spotify. I can have all that. Yeah, we're listening to a bit of MCR, and then also Waze. I found Waze to be a bit buggy in this version, so I tended to use Google Maps a bit more. But the best part, the thing I really like the most, is that, remember the doors again? There's no wiring there, or not much. Well, it's because they also removed the speakers from the doors. There's no speakers there or anything. If you notice, there's no like bezel housing over there. But if you look closer over here, you'll see that the front, that is not just like there for a support. That's a sound bar, like a sound bar you would have at home. The rear seat is actually okay in terms of space, same as in the front. There's also 2 USB ports there and the power window controls. But there are some things that have to be said about this screen, because given that they centralize everything here, you have to go through all these menus, sub-menus to activate anything. So for instance, the glove box you open from here, which is fine. But if you want to change settings, you have to go through here. If you want to like turn off the lights, exterior lights, you go through here. Like if I want to turn that off, and then whenever I press anything like that to change the lights, I have to press it here, which is weird. Like, you know, this is intentionally me wanting this light to be off, but I have to confirm here. I mean, I'm surprised it didn't, you know, make me go through an OTP, right? I mean, there's no OTP on my phone right now, but it's certainly a weird thing. If I want to turn it on again, are you sure? You have to confirm here again. It's kind of counterintuitive, so it's weird. Same with the, let's say, let me go back. The mirrors. If you notice, like I said, no wiring here. And this is normally where the mirror adjustment would be, or maybe on the left of the dashboard. No, it's right here. So if you want to adjust the mirrors, let's say the left mirror, you have to adjust it there, but there's no like cursor here. Instead, you have to use this. So, which is kind of counterintuitive. Your fingers are already on the screen, so why bother doing it there? So the driving assist features, the steering assist, I turned that off, because I realized when I was driving it earlier, when it tried to veer me out of, let's say, a lane, which I kind of got too close to the line, it was really strong when it corrected me there. So not a fan of that. The safety assistance here, I turned a lot of these off like this. So I have to put it into drive to access some of these menus. The lane keeping aid, I turned that off. Lane departure warning, I turned that off. The driver alert is something that annoyed me quite a bit, because if it detects that your eyes are like not really paying attention to the road, or maybe you're just looking there a little bit, but you're still maintaining your peripheral vision, it will alert you that you're being distracted. And how it does that is this thing here. This is not a screen. This is a sensor, and you'll see just a faint red hue over there. That's the indicator for the sensor of this. And there's no way to turn off the sensor. Yes, you can turn off the alert, like here. I'll turn off the alert, but the light is still there. It's still on. It's still active. If anything, it feels kind of like almost not really a violation of privacy, but really weird. But like this, if I wanted to block this, like if I'm annoyed with it, I put my hand here. Watch over here. Watch over here, Bart. I'm doing nothing, right? I'm just blocking it. See? Driver monitoring camera blocked. Monitoring camera. So no matter what, it's always on. And that's something I found a bit weird. So not a fan of that, but I guess you kind of have to get used to it. So sunroof here. This sunroof is tinted, but there's also no retractable cover for this. So it may get warm on a summer day, but right now it's December, so not really a huge problem. Anyways, let's go drive it and see how the Volvo EX30 feels on our road, because the last few days, it's been really good. Now, the EX30 as a daily drive in the city. Let me tell you now that it's great. I've been driving it around C5, EDSA, some of the really bad roads over in Cainta and Marikina. Well, actually, Marikina has some pretty good roads. And it soaks it up very, very well. You know, the suspension of this is not on the sporty side. Like when you compare it to, let's say, a Coolray, you do feel a bit more of the bumps. I mean, Coolray, of course, being a Geely product, Volvo is part of the Geely group now. But there's really not much similarity in terms of how they behave. Because one, this is an EV, and an EV is a bit heavier. But the ride of this is really good. They really tuned the suspension well. And I was actually a bit worried earlier when I looked at the tire pressure. It was reading around 38, more or less, all around. I was like, that's kind of high. And then I checked the recommended tire pressure. It was 38, so it was right on the money for the pressure. So this is the ride they intended, and it's good. You know, even in my village where we have a lot of humps, it's very good over the bumps. Even if I, let's say, try to forget one intentionally, the ride is good. It's not jarring. It tries to absorb it really well. It's quiet inside right now, but do keep in mind it's not a luxury vehicle in terms of the noise insulation. So you do hear quite a bit more of the horns and the beeps and the motorcycles. So that is to be expected. But not to worry, because the Volvo EX30 does make quite a lot of noise when it comes to all the warnings. Now, like I mentioned earlier, there are a lot of safety features in this, and they try to make it difficult for you to turn them off, or at least a bit more cumbersome, because you have to go through the menus each and every time. So right now I just left them all on, and it's been beeping continuously, like in this kind of, you know, I guess close quarters driving, because in Metro Manila and even some other parts of the Philippines, Cebu for example, driving around is it's kind of, you really have to be butted up against each other, you know, like side mirror to side mirror, that kind of thing. So it does drive it crazy, and you just have to make your peace with it, or you can turn off those settings depending on what suits you best. Personally, I turn them off except for the blind spot, and I turn off that driver attention. But again, it stays on, and right now, yes, it is on. There's that little red glow there, and you know, this sensor actually gets pretty warm. Maybe I'm not sure if it's supposed to be that warm, but it is warm nonetheless. I was testing out the adaptive cruise control, or sorry, the cruise control of this. It was actually pretty good. Like it's actually good earlier when EDSA was a bit clearer. One thing I did note is the lane keep, or the collision avoidance when you signal right. A motorcycle suddenly came out on that side, and the wheel strong, in a very strong manner, really shifted the vehicle, meaning I can feel it in my arm. It was really overriding me. But it didn't, it felt weird, but still it's there for my safety. I mean, I wasn't gonna hit him anyway, but it was actually quite a bit away. But still, the Volvo read that as an emergency and took over in that instance, intervened. So that's something I guess you have to get used to with a lot of these modern cars. So while we're almost stationary, let's talk about the range. The range of this with the current battery pack, this is the extended version, range version. It can do up to 475 kilometers, which is plenty. Now, in my driving earlier today, I did a full reset of everything, doing it in heavy traffic. That is actually where the Volvo EX30 shines, and actually many EVs do shine. Now, some people would think that in an EV you would kind of get really anxious about the range when you're stuck in traffic. In the modern EVs, not anymore. It used to be like maybe 10 years ago, the first EV I ever drove was a BYD E6 or E5, I think it was. That was the first EV I ever brought home in 2013 or 14. And let me tell you, in that one, you do feel the range anxiety because it really goes down pretty quickly. In these modern ones, no, it's a lot better. And EVs actually perform better when it comes to range in this kind of in slow speed driving in the city and all that, because it's the range only starts to really drop once you're, let's say, over on the expressway, that kind of thing, And this kind of driving is very, very efficient. You know, I was getting, I think it was when I did the averages earlier, it was 17.9 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers in this kind of driving. So when you do the computation, it's actually good on the range. But where it's also good is that if we compute it based on, let's say, on the current electricity rates, we can only go with Meralco, at least here in Metro Manila. The average, I think for 100 kilometers, for that kind of kilowatt consumption, it comes out to around 215 pesos per 100 kilometers. Now that is actually pretty good, all things considered. I think the most important question with the Volvo EX30 is whether I would recommend it or not for someone looking into an electrified vehicle. But first, you do have to evaluate whether an EV, a battery EV, is something that would suit your lifestyle. You know, you first have to look at where you live, where you drive. I mean, do you live in a house? Do you have access to your own charger at home? If you live in a condo, that might not work for you. Do you, let's say, go to a building where there's a charger nearby, or does your building have a charger nearby? Those are things to factor in. You know, but once you do, like, if for example, if it's something that you can honestly say that a BEV is something for you, then I think the EX30 is going to be a great choice. But there are some things about it that you have to be aware of, you have to live with. And of course, being Volvo is going to be how the safety features intrude, because that really is something here that, for me, it kind of spoiled the first 2 days I had with the car. You know, but once I got used to it, it was okay. And I do enjoy how the vehicle drives. I mean, whether we're talking about when the road opens up or whether we're in traffic right now. I mean, nobody enjoys traffic, but in the EX30, still seems to be working out. I'm enjoying the car and enjoying, like, once I turn off all the features that disturb me, I can really enjoy this, like, sitting right here and maybe putting up some tunes. So I'm gonna cut the video now and play some tunes, and I'll see you back at the warehouse. To be honest with you, me and the Volvo EX30, they kind of got off to a rocky start. It started off with all the sub-menus you have to go through for all the kinds of things. The way the safety system works, I mean, Volvo is known for being extremely safe, but more importantly, just, you know, put buttons on the key, man. Like, at least that way, if it alarms outside of my house or anybody's house, you can just click a button and it's all good. But this one, I had to actually go out and physically get into the car, make sure there's nothing wrong with it. Just the wind rocked it like right now, and I do have it in the reduced alarm mode, which I had to find all through those sub-menus. But the more I spent time in the EX30, driving it on rough, like concrete, EDSA, all this kinds of stuff, enjoying it in traffic, enjoying the audio system, the comfortable steering, the nice seats, the nice adjustments that they have, and the practicality of the boot. You know what? I think it's actually a really good car. The more I drove it, the more I enjoyed it. And the look is just, well, as you can see, quite stylish. Now the pricing though, this one retails at 2.99 million. So it puts it a little bit above some of its rivals in the class. Well, I wouldn't really consider, like, let's say, the Lexus LBX Hybrid. That would be more or less something along these lines, maybe even a little bit smaller. And of course, a couple of others. But still, guys, let me know in the comments below what you think of the EX30. Is it a win? Is it something you'd be interested in? Personally, all they need are buttons on the key, and I think I'm good to go.